okay, we're going out to this pizza shop and they're just going to sign today. And that does happen. But these larger accounts that we're focused on, these different segments, it's a dating case. Like, you got to court them. Yeah, we might not get this sale this year, but a year from now, 2 years from now, they're going to call us eventually. And we're confident in that.
This is the PMP Industry Insider Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome out to another episode of the PMP Industry Insider Podcast, where we take a look at what is changing in the pest and lawn industries, and we take you to the front lines so there's driving those changes. I'm Donnie Shelton, owner of Triangle Home Services, which has Triangle Pest as well as Triangle Lawn. And with me is the notorious Dan Gordon. Dan, would you like to say good morning, introduce yourself, because I'm sure no one knows you. Also introduce our sponsors, because we want to keep the lights on. Talk about the peer groups, because, you know, everyone likes to go to the peer group. And our very special guest and topic.
Absolutely. Good morning, Dan Gordon, PCO bookkeepers and M&A specialists. We do CFO work and exit planning services for the pest control industry. And to keep the lights on, we have a few sponsors. The first one is Colmarch. If you are interested in marketing services for the pest or lawn industry, go visit colmarch.com and /podcast, and they'll give you a month free. One of our other sponsors, which we are very grateful for having, is PestSure, providing insurance products for our industry. If you want to learn more, that's pestsure.com. And finally, for those who are looking to try to make some sense of all this technology, Voice for Pest. They are a leader in designing voice solutions for PCOs of any size. Coast to coast, learn more at voiceforpest.com/podcast. And then our our peer groups that we do. If you're interested, go back, listen to episode 136, where David Billingsley, one of our facilitators, is interviewed, and he did a terrific job. We've got several of these peer groups going, probably, 70 or 80 people who are involved. And it's terrific. And I will give a shout out to Pest World that's coming up in October. We're renting a few motor coaches, and we're going over to Pop Strokes to have a little mini golf tournament. There's food and drink, and the first prize will be a $1,500 donation to the winning team's favorite charity, and that's going to be sponsored by PCO bookkeepers and M&A specialists, as well as PMP Industry Insider. If you're a friend of ours, or if you're a client of ours, or if you listen to this podcast, email me.
Or if you want to meet Dan at mini golf.
Right. And if you want to meet the PCO bookkeepers crew, they're highly competitive and they're good fun. And so that will be happening. We will have a landing page, and it'll be a little more organized. But if you're interested right now, just email me, Dan at PCObookkeepers.com. We're looking to set up pairs. So if you have somebody that you can come with, so the teams are going to be twos. So that's where we're going with that. And today, our very special guest, coming to us from New England, is Courtney Carace, and she and her husband Adam have been in a family business for a long time. But the two of them have built the business. We've watched them build it, and a lot of it is Courtney and her sister-in-law, Amanda, and Adam have really taken it to the next level, and saw her in Texas talking about call centers and whatnot. So we're going to talk a lot about that. And so anyway, by the way, the name of her company is Pest-End. I think I forgot that, right? So welcome, Courtney.
Thanks for having me, guys. Looking forward to it. And you did great.
Welcome.
Last name.
Yes, yeah. Yes. And all of that was, I didn't read any of that. That was all
not one thing. Not one thing. So let me finish the job here. So Courtney is actively involved in the industry, both regionally and nationally, including a graduate of the NPMA Executive Leadership Program, and is a member of the NPMA Prestigious Leader Launch Program. So with that, Courtney, welcome. We are so grateful that you're here.
Thank you.
Good deal. All right. So go ahead, Donnie.
I was going to say, let's jump into this. So I'm looking over, and it looks like I just want you to kind of, if you can just give us kind of a background of what you do, a little bit about the company. We do this with most of our guests, but keep it kind of like to the meat, because I want to get into what I'm reading here, which is like you entered in at 6.5 million. You guys are at 12.5 million, and that's from in 4 years. And so that's what I want to get into. So maybe what the company is, how you got involved, what you do, and then we can jump into this other stuff.
Donnie can learn
So,
something here. So go ahead.
right. We all can, right? So,
Absolutely. So, our company is Pest-End. We service all of New England. We just recently this year started going into New York, and very shortly we will be kind of closing the loop, and we will be starting some routes in Connecticut. So it's been a big year for us as far as expansion. It is second generation family owned business. We've been around since 1977. My husband, my sister-in-law, and I acquired the business at the end of 2020, which was a super interesting time to acquire a business for anyone. So we've learned a lot. We've scaled pretty rapidly. Has not come without its pain and tears, but we're here for the ride and really setting ourselves up for to continue to scale over the next several years.
Good deal. So let's talk about, did we lose Donnie? Hold on. Did we lose you?
you did lose me, but I think we're
But you're
still
back.
going. So I'm
All right.
back, unfortunately
All right.
for all of you, but keep going. So,
Yes. Well, she finished. We're all ready.
oh
So
yeah.
I kept it short.
that's it. That's it. All right. So
Well,
let's
let's get
talk.
into the
Go
second
ahead.
half
Go
then.
ahead.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say let's get into the second half. So let's talk a little bit about, obviously, you guys have had a ton of growth, and I want to get into this. I want to hear how you did it, what you guys were doing. Obviously, the idea behind this episode is building a successful sales machine. So maybe just walk us through your growth, what you did, how you did it, you know what I mean, and then kind of what the results are.
Sure. So during the time of the acquisition, we were just doing a little bit over 5 million. So obviously we've scaled pretty rapidly, where last year we ended at 12.5 million. And then this year we're anticipating somewhere around 15 million. So that has been a juggernaut to kind of wrangle over the past couple of years. But the biggest thing that we did when we acquired the company was we implemented EOS. So I'm sure many of your listeners know about the entrepreneurial operating system, and that was game changing for us, to be honest with you. We brought so much structure, accountability to our team, and we have continued utilizing that type of business model, which I attribute a lot of our success to. I also think that having really strong leaders and again going back to EOS, right people, right seats, that has been a huge focus of ours. We were much smaller. The capacity level of our team members was much different several years ago. So we're always looking to see, okay, where can we go? And the decisions that we're making now, we don't want to make them for this current moment. We are looking in the future. So, our internal goal is we want to be at 30 million by 2030. So every discussion we have, every decision we make is based off of, okay, at this time, this decision that we're making, is this a quick fix to just kind of get us to where we need to and move the needle just a little bit? And we can do that in some cases, but for the most part, we're really looking to make decisions that are going to support us when we're at 30 million and beyond.
Nice. So, and I missed the part about the acquisition. Are you talking about, do you guys purchased it from family, or you bought another company?
Yes. So my in-laws, at the end of 2020, we acquired the business from my in-laws. So my sister-in-law, my husband, and I all own a third of the business.
Right in time for COVID. So
yeah. Yeah. So let's back up a little bit. So you're attributing the growth from 6.5 to 12.5 by focusing exclusively on EOS. There has to be some marketing strategies in there. There's got to be something that you guys are doing that's very different than what you were doing before. Can you talk us through
that? Goes to that right people, right seat. So we brought in a lot of talent that could help support our vision and our growth. So we have focused a lot on marketing strategy, but then also on the sales component of it. So we had a much smaller sales team prior to us acquiring the business, and we strategically brought in new reps over the last few years. And I attribute a lot of our success to our director of business development, because he has an eye for talent. And he is not afraid to decide, I want someone with experience in the industry to be in this territory, but I want someone with sales experience to be in this territory. And he's very strategic in his decision-making process. And he and I work very closely together. So we are constantly talking about numbers and where we're at and what we're doing. He focuses a lot. He comes from the commercial side, so that was his focus for several years when he came on board. But now we've also transitioned more into the residential side. He's overseeing our residential inside sales team, which has been really great to kind of have that cohesion. We had that separated out originally, and it kind of created a lot of conflict because it was, well, I can sell this over the phone, well, I can sell this in the field. So he has really been able to hone in on skills and talents and really unite that team. And one of the biggest things that we've realized is when we're identifying who we want to be on the team is we aren't looking for kind of that cutthroat salesperson. That works in a lot of different situations, but the way that our culture is, we have a very cohesive team. They will literally give someone a lead from their territory if they are finding that, where it's the end of the month and someone's not hitting their goal. They all jump in to help support the other team members. And that's something that we didn't see prior to him coming on, and there was not that cohesion. So everyone's kind of rowing in the same direction, which has been awesome to see. And we've been able to bring on additional sales reps relatively easily because of that.
So are these folks that you're bringing on, are they industry people, non-industry people, both?
Yeah, so most of them have been industry people. We just actually recently hired someone who does not have any industry experience, but has extensive sales experience. And that has been a game changer for us. It's kind of broadened the opportunity in the pool the talent that we're able to attract. And that's going phenomenally well. Inside sales, a little bit different. We've actually brought in people who haven't had experience in the field, and that has worked just as well as hiring someone from within the industry. We do like to try and promote from within, so we have seen a lot of success in bringing people from operations over into our sales team. And one of the ways that we do that is, especially for the outside sales team, is we do a lot with leads from our technicians. And last year, one of our technicians who submitted, there was really two individuals who were really crushing it, submitting a ton of leads, very invested in this. And we had an opening for an outside rep. And he applied. And he got the job. And so we can kind of see that there is ability to move people into different departments. And we can see, okay, they're shining over here doing this particular thing that's really sales related. Can we then transition them into a sales role? And that has worked phenomenally well. He's doing exceptionally well this year. And we're really excited about that too, because hiring from within is very critical to maintaining our culture.
So talk me through a little bit about, you talked about sales reps, and you talked about commercial, and you talked about inbound, internal, residential. Can you just give us kind of a high level overview of what you mean by your sales team? Like, how is it structured?
Sure.
That's a ton of growth. Has that mostly been commercial? Has it been residential? And what do you guys like? First of all, let's talk about structure first, then we'll get to strategy. Let's go there first. Yeah.
So the way that our structure works is we have 6 outside reps. They are true hunters. They may get a lead here and there if something comes in, and they're commercial. They're looking for commercial accounts. We have 2 estimators who we consider outside reps, but they are really working leads that are generated by marketing efforts. So one is wildlife, and he will quote both residential and commercial for wildlife. And then our other estimator is a residential estimator. So anything that we can't sell over the phone that we want eyes on, he's going out and doing that. So termites, bed bugs, things like that. He's going out and scheduling his own price quotes and sending over those agreements. We have 3 inside sales reps, and they are basically selling anything residentially that they can over the phone. We have really restructured that. We did do a lot more with inspections previously, but we've realized that really, although beneficial to get eyes on it, and it maintains a good relationship with the customer. This day and age, customers just want an answer. They want to know what the price is, and they want to kind of move on and get something scheduled. So We've really changed that, and we're selling primarily recurring over the phone. The biggest dip we see in our recurring number with our inside sales team is really in July, August, and a little bit into September with stinging pests. That's where we take a dip, but for the most part, we are pushing recurring revenue, which was something that we were not focused on prior to us acquiring the company either. So that's been a big game changer, because having all that baked in money year after year allows us to be able to build on that rather than having to start from scratch, which we were doing previously.
So you handle a pretty large geography, especially going into New York, Connecticut, and you've got these two estimators. So if you get something in Connecticut, so your headquarters are in New Hampshire, right? So, what happens in Connecticut if you need somebody who's
Sure. So that is currently a topic of conversation to be doing, but we're not advertising, we're not pushing in these new markets. It's really we do a lot of larger accounts that have sites in those states. So logically, it kind of just made sense for us to do that. So we're not looking to really expand too much into those markets, but really take work that we've subcontracted out previously, bring that in-house, and then slowly grow from there. So those are going to be much more commercial focused than residential currently.
Gotcha.
But down the line, yes, we will be adding sales reps on.
Okay.
So that's my question. Has the majority of growth been in this, and I don't want to call it a pivot, but it sounds like it was into commercial? Am I reading that right? Like kind of what you were saying there? Because you said you guys brought on more reps. Like kind of walk me through. Okay, I don't know how long the business was at roughly 6 million, but going from 6.5 to 12.5 in roughly 4 years, that's a ton of growth. And so I guess what I'm asking is that sounds like you got a wildlife division. I don't know if that's new or not. Maybe you've always had it. But I guess the question I have is like, has this been primarily from commercial sales? Has it been primarily from residential? I mean, the fact that you said you guys were not focused on recurring, it baffles me, but that's amazing. I'm glad you are. That's awesome.
Now we are.
Yeah.
But also, how much are you spending on Google or whatever, like to bring the leads in? Or you've got all these hunters out there, but geez, you got to feed them. And if with that kind of growth, you got to be spending some money on marketing, right?
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. So residential is a lot easier to grow rapidly. We were probably like more like a 50-50 split prior to the acquisition. We are a little bit more heavy on the commercial side now. It's like more 55-45 split. But the biggest thing that we have really realized is that with commercial, and especially with these sales reps who really, they are their own marketing machine. They have to generate those leads for themselves, build up their pipeline. That's a slow burn. You might have some really great prospects that you bring on, and we see that, but then it kind of peters out, and then, okay, you have to build up your funnel. And so we've had different accounts that we've been working for a couple of years, and just now they're starting to sign with us. So that has been a mind shift for us, where it's not like, okay, we're going out to this pizza shop and they're just going to sign today. And that does happen, but these larger accounts that we're focused on, these different segments, it's a dating phase. Like you got to court them. You have to show them where you're feeling, where they're feeling, and then make those additional reach outs periodically, just checking in, is it time? Can I do an inspection? So maintaining those relationships, and our biggest thing with sales is that's what we're doing. We're developing relationships. So we know that, yeah, we might not get this sale this year, but a year from now, 2 years from now, they're going to call us eventually. So, and we're confident in that. So that has been what we've learned commercially. So yes, are we growing rapidly in commercial? We are, but it's still taking time to gain that momentum, especially as we bring new reps on and we expand our geography where our brand presence is not quite as strong. So we know that we have to, and the way that we kind of structure people's comp and goals and all of that is also based on the territory that they are placed in. Whereas residentially, that's all lead driven. That's spending money on Google and SEO and And we do a lot with social media. We do a lot of Facebook campaigns. We're very active in our, I'm not sure if it's the same throughout all the country, but we have community Facebook groups. So like my town has like 4 of them, and there's a couple thousand of us in this town. Like this
Wow.
one is very, the Facebook community pages have been huge because people will go on there for recommendations and we'll recommend ourselves, or one of our team members will. But now you see, okay, no, it's not just us. It's not just the team that's recommending. Now you have other people who have used us recommending us. So it's bringing legitimacy to what we're doing, and there's confidence in what we can deliver. So just kind of doing that, and that's free. So we're always like, hey guys, get on Facebook, like do this, because that's free leads are great leads. And then tech leads to tech referrals has been a big push for us over the past couple of years to help generate mostly residential leads, some commercial, but for the most part, it's residential and web.
So to solve the chicken and the egg thing, whether you hire a technician or a salesperson going out, you try to get yourself a big commercial account, and that way you're there, and then you'll build around it. And that's the strategy.
For the expansion into those 2 states, yes. Where we're more settled, it doesn't matter as much, but yes, we will definitely be focusing more on the commercial side as we start to build up routes in those 2 states.
Awesome. Good.
So
Go ahead,
Donnie.
Dan. Well, I was going to say, go ahead. I've been asking a lot of questions. I'll let
All
you
right.
go a little bit.
So what you bring somebody in, maybe industry, maybe not industry, and if it's industry, they probably have a lot of bad habits. So how do you train them? What's your training program look like?
Yeah, so our training, first of all, like when we're at the beginning stages of hiring, we're looking for people that reflect our values. That's most important to us, that we start there, because we can train on sales, we can train on pest control, but we want to make sure that they're a values fit, which is really important for us because we have had experiences in the past where the values didn't align, and they might be the best salesperson. And we've had this where they are amazing, they're bringing in all of this revenue, but they're not a culture fit. And then that just is such a detriment to the rest of the team. So we've really focused on, do these people align with our values? And then we bring them in, and regardless of whether they have experience or not in the industry, we're doing extensive training. They're doing ride-alongs with our technicians, with our supervisors, with our directors. They are sitting in the office with our technical director, with our customer service team. They're learning all of the things and all of the aspects of what Pest-End is, who we are, and the way in which we perform our services, because we don't want to sell something that we are then not going to execute on the way that it was sold. So there is a lot of alignment with sales and operations. And yes, they can certainly do this. Sometimes there can be some frustrations there. But our overall, that is what is most important, is that we are maintaining communication between ops and sales. So once that initial training is done, and on roads, which it's a combination of in office and on roads, and then we are working. So Joe, who's our business development director, he has a manager that reports to him. Her name is Kayla, and she's phenomenal. She's come up with all of the processes. We use a ton of different SOPs, and she's working very closely with those reps on our platforms that we're using, so they can understand where to go to get information, and then how to track their leads, and how to track their sales, and how to send an agreement. So it's really a full hands-on experience for the new hire, and depending on, and it can range anywhere from like a month to 6 months. It really depends on what their experience is and how quickly they are catching on, and then also what territory that they've been assigned to, because there's going to be a lot of walk-ins and work with our other sales reps, as well as our business development director, to kind of get them comfortable, and they can lean on each other as resources, which has been really helpful. We were away at a conference last week. My business development director was with us, and we have a new sales rep who started about a month ago, and he was working. On Friday, he had an inspection. He was like, hey, I want to go on my own. So Joe and I were debating back and forth, and we're like, let's do it. Like, let's see what he can do. And he did a great job, but he actually called one of our other sales reps to say, hey, what do you think about this, before he even went to Joe. So that's the kind of culture that we're creating, that there is this ability to talk to other people and to rely on them, which has been really important in our growth.
Right, right.
So
Let's talk a bit about how you manage all of this. So can you just, I mean, are you guys using, I'm not sure what software you're using. I guess it doesn't really matter, but what I am interested in is like, how are you guys managing sales? I mean, obviously I know there's leads and there's sales and there's conversion rates and those types of things. Are there specific tools or processes that you found kind of essential that has helped you develop this sales system? Or is it kind of like, yeah, I mean, we're tracking, but it's just not a big part of what we're doing?
No, we're very data driven. And I will say, before EOS, I mean, Dan knows, we were like we didn't even have a P&L. Okay. So like it's been a big shift. And I am not lying about that. But ever since,
you had to sell it to them.
you really did. You did a great job. Loyal clients here. So we really, though, have always, since we started with EOS and we understood the importance of how effective and important data is, that we're always craving more information. And that has been something that we have put in place with our sales team. So we use Smarter Launch for our sales platform. And that has been game changing for us as far as the ability to track our leads, track our proposals that are going out. There's a nice little dashboard in that system. So everyone has access to that. But really, and this goes back even, before we acquired the business, we created something called a sales tracker, and that's through Excel. We've gone through several iterations of this, but it has become one of our most important documents that we have in the company, because it's not only able to show us how we're doing with sales and are we hitting our goals, but it's also on the ops side showing us how quickly are we scheduling jobs. Are we losing, do we have some no starts? Why do we have no starts? So all that information is contained in this pretty robust document, which has dashboards in it. So we have individual summaries, so each rep can see where they're at. And then we have combined summaries and team summaries. So we have all of that is accessible to our entire sales team and our leadership team. And then we took all of that data and have built out internal dashboards through SharePoint. So we can see what close rates are, what our recurring number is, our percentages for that, what are the majority of services that we're selling. So it gets very granular, and where we're having success selling, because if we're having success in an area, we might want to dump some more marketing dollars into that area because we know that we're gaining traction there. So we look at this every single day, and we look at this especially when we're projecting out for the next year or the next 3 years of where we want to go and what we want to do. So that, to me, is probably our most important document that we have in the company.
Gotcha.
So I have two questions. Number one is, do you have an IT person to build out SharePoint? Because we built it out and it's not intuitive, or, if you don't have the brain for it. Do you have somebody who's specifically on?
Yeah, so Matt is our director of systems and data. He is not classically trained in IT, but he has built all of this out, and his dashboards are amazing. And something that I know I couldn't do. And he has been on like YouTube and done all of the research
Right.
that we do if he can't figure something out. But we are in the process also of bringing on, we have an outside IT company, but we are looking to bring in someone also to support Matt who's trained in that specifically. So he's not kind of doing all of this all of the time. But yeah, he built all of this out. We were a Google company. He's like, we got to get to Microsoft. So we made that shift. And then he started building this out over the last 2 years. And the dashboards are just not easy to make, but really intuitive to use and really helpful when we want to see something quickly.
Good deal. The second question that I have, we have a lot of, I guess, in the current environment and where the industry is, attrition seems to be much higher, right? We don't see loyalty. We see a lot of door-to-door moving around and whatnot. who does your commercial have less attrition than your residential? Are you measuring that? What, in your opinion, and they're different profit margins, but what's a better business, the commercial or the residential?
So originally we would have said commercial, but definitely residential is more profitable. However, the commercial side gives us other opportunities that we wouldn't have on the residential side. So I think it's having a balance has been really helpful for us, but that has also created its own set of challenges because we want to make sure that we strongly feel that we need different skill sets are required to effectively sell and execute on service for commercial versus residential. We're looking for different personalities when it's coming to that. So we're trying to just make sure that we are aligning both our sales team and our service side, our technicians, our field staff to make sure that we've selected the right people for the right job. So that kind of creates its own set of challenges, but it's been great when you get that right person and that right personality. You can see the difference there. But I do think that residentially, that's where it's profitable. If you lose a customer or two, it's not the end of the
Doesn't
world.
hurt.
Whereas if you have
Yeah.
these big whales, that can significantly impact your top line revenue. So we're very mindful of that. But we've also been very, very fortunate in New England. There have been so many acquisitions, and there is a mentality. We're kind of, we're old Yankees up in New England. We're kind of grouchy, and we want family-owned companies. We want local companies. So that has been, we've used that to our advantage as we've seen kind of other people coming in and acquiring family-owned businesses. That has been tremendously beneficial for us.
But do you see that the retention rate higher on big commercial just because it's hard to unwind?
Yeah, as long as it's built on relationships, bid work, it's lowest bid.
Right.
So you have to also make sure that you know and you maintain those relationships. Where we see a little bit more attrition would be in property management because the loyalty is to you. So with the property manager. So if they move to a different company, you're likely going to get that work. But if they bring in someone else to manage that property that has a relationship with an existing existing pest control company, they're likely going for that because there's comfort there. So that's where we would see the most movement and the most attrition would be in that particular segment.
So, Courtney, we're getting close to the end, and I want to give a little bit of time for this. We got about 5 more minutes, and I want to spend a little time on this question, especially for our listeners. But if someone's out there listening and listen, you guys have done an amazing job. It sounds like an amazing company. It really does. Any advice for PMPs who are wanting to build kind of their own successful sales machine and they want to get bigger, they want to scale? I understand. I'm sure if others do as well, what you're talking about. There's a lot of things that are embedded in what you said. EOS, I think, is probably one of the key ones. But can you just walk through or just give advice for those who really want to scale their business? They want to grow. They want to increase their, build a sales machine. What kind of advice could you give them, and what would you tell them to do?
I think the most important thing is to build your sales machine with intention. You can't just hope for growth. So you really need to structure your sales team, define your processes, and hold people accountable and invest in marketing. That's super important, especially on the residential side. But at the same time, don't lose sight of your culture and make sure that you're integrating that into your sales team, your sales processes. And the way that we do that is really to have conversations with our team. They are very much a part of discussions on goal building, goal setting for the next year, because their bonuses are based off their goals, not how much they sell. So if they exceed their goal, and we do it quarterly bonuses, if they exceed their goal in Q1, that's awesome, but they're not getting additional compensation for that. Their bonus is set based off of the goal. So bringing them into that conversation and having them have ownership over that, I think, has been tremendous. We have people who, we'll give them a certain goal and they're like, no, I can do 50,000 more. I can do 100,000 more. And that's where you get that buy-in. So really, I think you need to be intentional and you need to understand what your goals are and don't bite off more than you can chew, because you don't want to bring on so many people that you aren't able to train them properly or put them in a geography that maybe your brand is not as strong there. Be flexible and give them time to build up that pipeline and reward them. So maybe their base pay might be a little bit higher for the first year, and their commission might be a little bit lower. But you want to invest in your people, and especially if you know that it's a new territory, be flexible. And we've done that because we've learned the hard way that if we aren't flexible, that we're going to lose great talent. So that's really my biggest piece of advice, is that flexibility, but then also make sure you're being really intentional as you build this out.
Courtney, this has been fantastic. Dan, any
Awesome.
closing thoughts or questions before we finish out here?
None. You've built an amazing company, and it's really fun to watch. And it's I think that you're one of the companies to really keep an eye on in the next over the next decade or so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Courtney, really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Just a reminder, all the resources and topics that we talked about today are going to be available on the podcast website. Just take a look at pmpindustryinsider.com. Take a look under show notes for this show. And as always, we appreciate any ratings and reviews and concerns, complaints. Dan loves fielding those. Just give him a call with all those. And with that, we're going to sign off. We'll see you all next time. Take care.
Thank you.